You're making me a monster, a monster, a monster raving loony. Turn into a monster, a monster.
Anyway, who are you then? Who am I? How dare you ask me that? You phoned me up and asked me if you could meet me.
I know.
You must have known who I was.
I know you are.
Of course you know I am. I am Howling Lord Hope. I am the leader of the official monster Raving Loony party.
It's lovely.
At this precise moment in time, and have been for the last 10 years.
What was your first job, Alan, when you left school then? First job you ever had?
I left school, the first job I ever had. Well, let me just go back before then. When I left school, I left school in 1957. I was due to be called up in 1960. So I can remember my father saying to me, don't think about the future too much, son, don't get yourself a decent job, don't worry about it, just go out and find yourself a little job and bring some money in for your mum. Because in 1960 when you're called up, you'll either go in the Army, Navy or the Air Force, and they will teach you a good apprenticeship. So that is exactly what I did, but unfortunately, or fortunately, in 1959 they called the call up off, so consequently boys of my age were the first free teenagers, because we weren't called up. That's why the 60s were so good.
So you're talking about the teddy boy days, or was that before that?
Yeah, teddy boy days, yes.
And did you have one, a big old teddy?
Yes, I was a teddy boy. Of course I was a teddy boy. My mother and father hated it. But that's what really happened. Although I did get a little job. I got my very, very first job was in a paint spraying factory, but that was just to bring in a bit of money from your mum to keep the house going until I was called up in the army, which actually never happened. But if you consider all that, I mean, I'm 2 days older than Paul McCartney. I'm a year older than Mick Jagger. So we were all in the same boat, really. I mean, to quite say, that's why the 60s were so good, because when we all left school, we had our own little skiffle groups, and we loved Lonnie Donegan, all of us. He was the man who showed us that we could all get on stage and be stars, if you like, with a guitar, a tea chest, bass, and a washboard, and make music and get away with it. And we all did that. And then one day somebody come along singing 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock clock. Wow, what's that?
Bill Haley.
Bill Haley, yes. And he changed everything. If anybody's the king of rock and roll, it's Bill Haley. Hence, so there you are. You see, I became, my first job was a paint sprayer. Then I got a little job in a engineering firm. In fact, I left my first job at 1 6 an hour, which to people who don't understand those terms, I'll have to work this out now, is 7.5p an hour in today's money. 1 6. And I left that job to go to an engineering firm for 1 6 halfpenny. Did, yes. But by then I joined a rock and roll group called the Blue Stars, and we became involved with the local impresario around here.
Singing, vocals?
Yeah, I was a vocalist. Became involved with the local impresario around here. I mean, we've all heard of Larry Parnes, and we've all heard of Joe Meek. But around here there's a certain chappie called Bob Potter, and he was a local man around here who was putting on rock and roll things. And our first gig, I remember, was in the local coffee bar, not the Cavern in Liverpool, but every town had a coffee bar, and there was one in Camberley called the Il Primo, and we used to play in the cellar there. As I say, every town had a cellar bar, really, and I suppose you could say that's where we were discovered. I suppose you could, if you put it like that. And then we started playing at the Agincourt Ballroom in Camberley, supporting the likes of Chuck Berry, Sonny Boy Williamson, John Lee Hooker. I actually believe at that precise venue I was on the first gig that Pink Floyd ever did. Hence I met Screaming Lord Sutch and the Savages. That's where we first met, at the Agincourt Ballroom in Camberley. And we became friends, and that's a wasp trying to get me.
Did you toured with old David Sutch?
Yeah, well, he toured with us actually, because as I mentioned earlier on, this Bob Potter, We used to do rock and roll tours, and David used to get invited along as another act. So we toured together. I won't say we toured with him or he toured with us. We toured together. Yes, we did.
And did you use lots of all these musos?
No, I was now with a band called the Bandits, and Jeff Beck was the lead guitarist for a while, and he was in that band for about 5 or 6 gigs. That was all.
Did you cut any discs with him?
No. And I got to know David Sutch ever so well, but also when he had his band called the Savages, and this Bob Potter used to book him to come down here to do gigs. I remember one at Winchester we did together, and one or two others. One at Chichester, sorry, not Winchester. And because Screaming Lord Sutch and the Savages, or Screaming Lord Sutch, was only good for, he was very, very visual, obviously, and he was only good for, say, 1 45-minute spot. There had to be something else on with him, so I used to be the other singer with the Savages backing me. Carla Little on drums, Strawberry on lead guitar, I believe, and Rick on bass. I couldn't remember their surnames, so I thought I had enough. Actually, that was the Savages that I knew.
Yeah.
And there was also another singer who used to come with us sometimes, a guy called Baby Bubbly, and another singer called Cal Danger. And, we had some good fun doing that.
I could go on and on with this, it's like a never-ending song. I could go on and on with this, it's like a never-ending song. That'll do.